I have ratings for every single player based on their in-game performances, but can I use that to pick out some players who are poised to become future champions? In May 2020, in one of my first ever tweets, I gave a list of future stars of Fortnite that of course included a few misses, but also included names like Vidal, Pink and Vortex, who all rose to the top and stayed there to this day. It's about time that I pick out some more names. I'm using a similar methodology to last time, which is to see which players have improved their rating the most in the last few seasons. I've mostly stuck to players who haven't even made an FNCS Heats before this season, so hopefully this is the first time you'll hear of them before they hit the top at a later date. Our first player is Marco, a Finnish controller player who has recently impressed in solo cash cups with 13th in a final as his best placement. Playing with Climbri in duos has also led to success, making a qualifier final and getting to the FNCS semi-finals for the first time in his career. He'll have a good chance of making the grand finals when they play all 3 sessions this coming weekend. My player rating for him has increased dramatically over the last 2 seasons, and it may well continue into next season as well. I asked him and he puts his improvement down to working on endgame rotations and also dealing with surge in stacked lobbies, which is an essential skill at the highest level. Over on NA East we have Mason, a player who had a big breakthrough 2 weeks ago with 2nd place in the Duo Cash Cup final. His solo's win rate is going skywards over the last few seasons, which is a really great sign as that is advantageous in the point system as you gain a lot of points right at the end of the game for the win. While his off-spawn deaths could do with a bit more work, they're acceptable for now. He says that he VOD reviews his own mistakes a lot and spends even more time in creative. His aim is to go pro, which essentially means that he wants to become a regular Grands player in the future, and that would be a fantastic achievement. Pixie is a 14-year-old Swedish player who has somehow gone under the radar despite reaching an incredible 8 solo cash cup finals this year, which is tied for 5th place on EU. Although he has yet to record a top placement in the final, he did win one of the first rounds. His improvement can be seen here with some stats from solo cash cups over the past 6 seasons. This year he's reduced a lot of his early deaths and converted a lot more games into top 5s. And with better placement generally comes more elims, which is also something that we see for him in this graph. He says that he's enjoying the meta and taking the game much more seriously now, and with his mindset that he wants to be the best and win Grands one day, we may well see his upward trajectory continue. Unfortunately he did not make heats this season, but that will make his rise even more meteoric in the future. Sin's trajectory has been fantastic, improving every season from when he started placing well in season 16. He's actually approaching playing like a top 100 player on NA East right now, and he qualified to the NA East Grand Finals last season, the only player in this video that has done that. Unfortunately he placed near the bottom, but still gained that invaluable experience. The area he has improved in the most is elims, which usually doesn't help that much in solos, but clearly it implies a better fighting ability and will help you to survive into the endgames. I asked him how he's done it, and he puts an improvement down to focusing on his weaknesses and also having a really good friend group around him to work with. Moneymaker is our 2nd Swedish player on the list. With a self-proclaimed grind mindset, he has recently won a first round of a solo cash cup and made 4 finals in total. Looking at his solo cash cup placements, his game win rate has rocketed upwards this year, now sitting at 20%, and the number of off-spawn deaths has decreased a lot, indicating that he has learnt to adapt to the placement-heavy style of solos. In duos, he is playing with Bloomy, who is one of the older players in the community and somebody that he can learn a lot from, and they will be playing in the upcoming FNCS semi-finals, which is the first time that he has made it this far. Given his young age and rapid improvement, I expect to see a lot more of him through the rest of the year. At the start of this season, Drizzoo took the drastic step of uninstalling every other game, which meant that his muscles were able to learn for Fortnite only, and he could concentrate all his efforts fully on the game. This is really reflected in the smooth player rating graph from him, because it really shows that sometimes it takes time to get to the top. The last 10 seasons have been a slow rise, but from this season he is showing real potential to become a top 50 player or even better in the future. He says that he's been scrimming almost every day, VOD reviewing, and also making sure he prepared properly for tournaments. From his solo gameplay you can see that his rate of getting top 5s has been increasing rapidly, showing that the endgame scrim practice has really been helping. In duos he's managed to stick with his duo for the whole season, and he's right in thinking that can give good performances together when FNCS arrives, resulting in him making the semi-finals for the first time ever this season. Slomo is a Dutch player who nobody talks about, yet has made 5 solo cash cup finals this year and a few in duos as well, placing 16th in his best one. His gains in solo play have come from his rate of survival to the endgame, now reaching top 50 in 74% of his games and giving himself as many chances as possible to get a good result. We all know by now that better placement gives better elims, which you can see the improvement in here as well, averaging above 3 elims per game in 2022. A stat I recently posted showed that Slomo and Marius are actually the duo who die off spawn the least out of all 88 duos in FNCS semi-finals and grands. They only died off spawn in 17 out of 124 of their tournament games together, and they will be hoping to make the big step all the way to grands this season. Braydz is a relatively unknown player on NA East, and he has had a couple of breakthrough moments in the past 2 months, firstly qualifying in second place for a Cash Cup final at the end of last season, and then making an FNCS qualifier final this season. You can see that he only started getting any placements at the end of last year, but the rise has been spectacular so far. He's not that near the top yet, but the stats say that he has a great chance of getting there. So far he says that he's been playing a lot of scrims every day and also using a daily routine to try and have regular practice. Our last player today is Lou984, an Italian who has recently made a couple of solo Cash Cup finals. As you can see from my rating of him, the last 2 seasons have shown a spectacular upward trajectory. He's about a season behind the other players we've mentioned, but I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes a regular Grands player soon. The big gains have been made in duos, where he is currently popping off in FNCS, making a qualifier final and round 3 in the others. Lou and Nano are amazingly the best duo in EU at surviving the mid game, something nobody would have guessed. They've made it to the endgame in over 90% of the games that they've survived off spawn, which shows a true mastery of map rotations and preservation of resources. Lastly, here is a graph of the ratings of some more players who unfortunately I didn't have time to talk through in detail today, but whose ratings have been going up and up recently. Let's revisit this video in a year or 2 and see what happened to all of the players. Who do you think will be the next big superstar of Fortnite? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, see you next time.